And please allow me to introduce the CEO of eXp Realty, Leo Pareja, and the founder of eXp Realty himself, Glenn Sanford.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So first, I want to give a shout out to Samantha. That was amazing.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. And I also got started at 19 years old, so I see a pattern for very successful estate agents and real estate agents who start early.
They do, yeah. So, yeah, and of course, Adam mentioned me being geeky, and I got my Meta glasses, and I'm actually recording you. So, I got my Limitless pendant, so if you ever heard of that, I'm actually recording you as well. So, and our conversation, so anyway, I'm kind of geeking out up here, so.
I was expecting Adam to say I'm also a nerd. So we're the revenge of the nerds is how we've been introduced at other conferences. So Glenn and I just finished a tour in the US. There was about 19 cities, 2.5 weeks. Well, it stretched a little bit. Wendy did the last one. And I think whoever spent time with Glenn and I, to say it nicely, we were trying to pass our anxiety on to you. So we're going to scare the shit out of you for the next couple of minutes. Is that okay? My past life prior to joining eXp, I started and scaled a software company that got to 80% market share in the United States. I sold it. I was mostly spearfishing when he cold called me and asked me to come play with you guys. I thought I was done with real estate. I wanted to go into tech and finance. And then Glenn showed me the platform. And I truly believe this is the most unique opportunity in real estate. Super exciting what Adam shared about where we are at in the UK. But just so you guys know, Glenn and I see global, international as the future of this company. We want to be in 100 countries. We said on our earnings call, 50,000 agents by 2020 in 50 countries. But I'm telling you, I want to go to 100. So what I do tell Wall Street and anybody else who asks, I don't care when. This is about partnering with the best real estate entrepreneurs on the planet. I've boiled down to what I describe the company in about 11 words, which is a platform that allows entrepreneurs to build whatever size dream they want, right? It doesn't matter if you want to be number one, you want to build the biggest rev share group, or you just want a business that provides for the lifestyle that you want. It's all about understanding who you want to be and how you want to get there. But I'll pass it along to Glenn because I would say about 18 months. When did you first take us to go see Peter Diamandis? Was that 2 years ago now?
About two years ago, yeah.
So 2 years ago, Glenn said, get to Southern California and come spend a day with me. And I met Peter Diamandis, which is where you were just for the last week. So I'm going to hand it on to you. So you tell them where you were and why we want to transfer our anxiety to them.
Yeah, so maybe I'll start it this way. How many of you have like a business mentor, confidant, somebody you can actually ask questions of the business? Okay. And keep your hands up if that business confidant is ChatGPT. Okay. And raise your hands if you are talking to ChatGPT all the time. Okay. That's good. It's a good room. The reality is that I spend probably more time talking to ChatGPT than I spend time talking to people. And not that I don't like people, but ChatGPT is like my non-judgmental thought partner that I can bounce crazy ideas off of. And but going back, I think it was actually March of 2023. How many of you are familiar with Peter Diamandis? Anybody in the room know that name? Okay, so he's partnered with Tony Robbins on some stuff. He started an organization called eXp back in 2009, which was a prize for the first reusable spacecraft that went to outer space. And there was a $10 million prize. A bunch of people competed. It became Virgin Galactic. eXp has done a bunch of other things. They've got the Carbon Renewal eXp, where Elon Musk put $100 million up for carbon renewal, and saw actually this last week was the eXp Adventure Trip. So I'm on the eXp Vision Circle board. Basically, I give them money every year, and every year do this trip. And so one of them was one of the companies we saw this last week was removing carbon from the atmosphere, but he's also really big on AI. And so back in March of 2023, he had brought a number of people to his event in LA called Abundance 360, and the amount of stuff that was going on in AI was just crazy. We'd been talking about it for a number of years prior about how things were going to change, and it was that point when I recognized that the world was changing right now. And of course, we'd seen ChatGPT 3 or 3.5 had shown up, but we all went to LA. We had about 27 of us, and we started to really think about what AI was going to fundamentally do to our businesses. And so I've been heads down, quite frankly, for the last year. I think July last year, I heads down, working actually with the international team, and we've been, I guess I can use this word because I heard Adam use it earlier. We AI'd the shit out of it. So, and meaning that we started to record all of our meetings that take place in international, and we started to actually start to organize a lot of things. And then this year, 2025, we saw really the biggest shifts in AI that we've ever seen. In fact, literally every single week, we're seeing another drop of another technology that takes the game just another level forward. I think last week was OpenAI's ChatGPT o3 Pro. And I don't expect that most of you have played with all of these models, but these are really, really smart models. Like, these literally have sort of thinking qualities that with a good human, you all being good humans, can brainstorm with the smartest thought partners that you could possibly have. Now, they're fundamentally, the AIs themselves are dumb as a doorknob, but with a smart human asking them good questions, they can actually get really, really useful really, really quick. So we, and I think here, what, about 2 months ago, you went to an event?
Yeah.
2 months ago, Leo calls me, and he goes, he had his oh shit moment. I'm only using that because I heard Adam say it earlier.
That's literally how I started the call.
Yeah.
I said, "Are you awake yet?" And he said, "Why?" I was like, "I have an oh shit moment conversation with you."
And so after that, it was like we have been like thinking about every single way that AI is going to disrupt everything. But the flip side of it is, it's actually almost similar to how social media is today. Those who lean in are going to get their unfair share of the market because, like anything else, those who use the technology first end up getting advantages that the others don't. So that's kind of...
Yeah, and I'll unpack what that moment was for me. So I read a lot. I try to stay as aware as possible. And again, I very much concede that this gentleman is ahead of me on a lot of things. And then normally it takes me a little bit of time to catch up with the anxiety level. But I was on a call and I noticed how many public company CEOs had sent out emails. So I don't know if you've kept track of this, but probably over the last 60 days, the CEO of Shopify, the CEO of Fiverr, global footprint companies have all sent emails saying, we are no longer hiring, we're going to retrofit everything we do, and we're going to try with AI before we add headcount. And I've been licensed since the year 2002 in the States. I've lived through two giant tech leap forwards. One was high-speed internet. That's how long I've been doing this. So once upon a time, I had to drive to the office just to get internet in order to print out the listings, call the sellers, call the buyers, schedule appointments. And when high-speed internet came to the house, I was able to do more with less, right? You could sell a home faster. So in the United States in 2002, the fastest I could sell a home was like 3 weeks, right? Because it would go into this portal, I would look it up, I hit print, I'd leave a voicemail on a landline, they'd call me back, I'd schedule a showing. Now we can sell them in hours, right? Because it goes through a syndicated portal, they can schedule an appointment digitally, they can send me the contract digitally. But the second giant leap forward was the one that Glenn once told me was how eXp was born was high-speed internet combined with mobile, right? So once we were able to have this as the remote control of our world is what gave birth to eXp, but it also gave birth to the speed at which transactions happen. In the United States in 2002, the highest producing team in the country was probably selling 300 homes. In 2010, I was #1 in the world at Keller Williams as a team leader and #5 in the Wall Street Journal across the United States, and I sold 600 homes. In 2024, and this is a really interesting number that I figured out for a presentation last week. So in 2010, when I was #1 in the world at Keller in the United States, there was 4 million total transactions in all of the US. Very bad time for us, financial crisis. 2024 was also 4 million transactions, so identical years. If I would have been at eXp in the US with the same number of transactions that I was in 2010, I would have been number 17 at eXp and number 77 in the United States. Same number of transactions. So what's happening is the people who are leveraging technology are getting faster, stronger, better. And every other leap I've seen in technology augmented my strengths only. So one of the things I've always preached about is find your God-given talent and lean in, right? The educational system, in my opinion, is broken because I'm told as a little kid to work on my weaknesses, and if I pay someone to do my homework, it's cheating, but as an adult, I'm a very good entrepreneur. But I'd never gotten anything that made me better at my weaknesses, right? Everything, like high-speed internet and digital allows me to be in relationship. Like I see a lot of faces that I interact with on LinkedIn and Instagram, right? Raise your hand if I've actually messaged you or commented on your posts. I see a couple. And so I'm in a digital relationship with 80-some thousand people, which, you know, in the 80s and 90s when real estate franchises were developed in the US that were exported, we weren't able to have that one-to-one relationship. But ChatGPT is different and AI because I actually now can augment my weaknesses. So my analogy is that the evolution of AI is going to make you superhuman if you choose to engage with it. So for example, I was a child in the 80s, so I was not diagnosed, but I'm pretty sure I'm ADD with ADHD and probably some dyslexia in there. If you've ever gotten a text message from me, that'll make a lot of sense. And I'm a very good oral communicator with a very good memory because I think those were adaptations of me as a child. I couldn't pay attention in class, so if I sat quietly in the front of the room, I could absorb it. And I don't think I've read a book since high school, so now I just consume everything through Audible. This gentleman is drafting a book. It's really good. And he sent me the manuscript, and I looked at it. I was like, there's no way I'm actually going to be able to read this. And that is a perfect example where that was the limitation I had. But I used 11 labs, and I converted it into audio of his own voice without him knowing, and I cloned his voice, and I listened to it at 2x, because that's the way my brain consumes information, on a weekend while working out, and I sent it to him. So we've now unlocked human potential that literally until last year I didn't have access to, right? So now I can actually write and post stuff to LinkedIn without having Wendy review it for me because I now have someone who knows my voice, my tone. And so to Glenn's point of social, we are at social media when we had MySpace. Let that sink in. Like to Samantha's story of how she's leveraged social, how fun would it be to know that that Instagram and Facebook were coming? Like that's my bet. We haven't even seen the scale platforms that win, right? I just saw a headline that Zuck committed $15 billion to try to take OpenAI's #1 place by recruiting someone. The amount of stuff that hasn't shown up yet, it's what remarkable. So, and then the one last thesis, then I'll pass it back to Glenn here, that I am excited and should make you excited is, I think well, first of all, there's a statement that I live by, and it's marketers ruin everything.
Marketers. I was a good marketer.
Marketers ruin everything because what the goal of marketing or business is to find an outside return on effort, whether it's dollars, time, an email campaign, where you do an activity and you get this very large return on it. And then we all find out about it, then we all do it, and then we diminish it. Make sense? So my prediction is that over the next 6, 12, 18 months, you're all going to become digital communicators at scale, whether it's written, video, voice. Do you guys follow? Who of you follow me on Instagram? you guys say I just launched a new podcast, and the first podcast is the two of us go listen to it? It's really fun. But that entire, if you pull it up on Instagram, go to my account, and you listen to it, that is not me. That is AI. That the team cloned my voice, wrote it in my voice. We have a ChatGPT of Leo. We have a digital twin of Glenn. We have a ChatGPT of Leo that has everything I've ever said on the internet. And the marketing team can take what they've wrote and said, make it sound like Leo. And so what's about to happen is we're about to commoditize all forms of digital communication. Right? So I'm sure, like, I know you guys like LinkedIn. I see you very active on it. Have you, by show of hands, have you noticed someone who was probably not very good at speaking and is now William Shakespeare? Right? And you know, the clues are the emojis and the dashes, right? So everyone's about to do that. And humans at scale are average. And what that means is you're about to see a whole bunch of average AI content. Because people are going to do average prompts, and you're going to get average content. And so what's going to happen is it's going to go the way of the banner ad or email, right? Remember 1999, if you're old enough, how exciting it was to get an email? Tom Hanks made a movie about it because it was so good. When's the last time you checked your email, Glenn?
Yesterday sometime.
We don't check email anymore, right? And so what my bet is, and the exciting part in this moment is to actually double down on human experience. I believe over the next 12, 18, 24 months, people are going to crave human interaction that's authentic and real because so many people are just going to start using AI to communicate. And so I think the people who can deliver the best human experience in any business will win. And whether we want to call it real estate or estate agency, you're in the human business. That's the business that you're in. You're guiding people home through the most expensive, emotional, and infrequent transaction of their life.
So one thing, how many believe you're in sales? And how many people think they're in marketing? So if those who are in sales, hands up. Marketing, hands up. Okay. So the reality is we're in the marketing business that happens to get monetized through sales. I mean, that's what Samantha's presentation really showed, is that she is a master marketer. She created tons of inbound traffic. One of the other things that and I'm going to talk about a couple things that you can do today. But how many of you as marketers know that the most important thing is speed to lead, meaning the speed at which you return an email or a phone call? Everybody, right? How many of you are at least cappers or above in the room? Okay, so we got a good. So one of the things that we did this last year, by the way, it's a UK company. There's a company called Fixer, Fyxer. They're based out of London. I discovered them last year around October-ish, and I ended up using their platform. eXp is now actually a shareholder. You're actually a shareholder in Fixer. But if you're a capper or above, you can actually get a platform that will actually increase your speed to lead dramatically by sorting your email. And you can actually go to expai. Or I think it's expai.exprealty.com, and you can actually install it on your Gmail or your MSN and actually get a huge increase. In fact, you've got like an example.
I got a real story if you're
ready.
So we were in Houston, or I was in Houston. He was in another part of the country. We tried to divide and conquer. You got us both. So true story. I was in Houston, Texas. Brandon Schneider came and grabbed me before I went on stage. I was about to go on an AI rant, and he said, let me give you a real story. So Fixer AI is something, and I have it embedded in not only our work email, I have it in my personal email too, because that was overwhelming. But an agent came up to me and said, this happened last week. First of all, the consumer went to ChatGPT to search, not Google. The prompt was, who is the most investor-friendly agent in Houston? That was the exact question posed to ChatGPT. ChatGPT responded with, Brandon Schneider of eXp, here's his email. So first, let's pause right there in the story. You will never search in Google within 36 months. Do you guys comprehend that? right? Everything is going to contextual large language model conversation, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, whomever wins that we don't know their name yet. So one of the first homework assignments is go ask ChatGPT the prompt you'd expect a consumer to type in for your name to pop up, right? Raise your hand if you're really good at SEO. Raise them high, right? SEO is about to die. So you need to go talk to large language models and ask it, because the beautiful part is for SEO, you had to pay someone a course, and actually, he wrote a really good article. I just read that one about courses dying. Go to his, it's Facebook? Was it on LinkedIn or Facebook?
It's on LinkedIn. By the way, I sat with, this is just another AI story. I was wearing my Limitless pendant at dinner last night with John Lee, who spoke at a number of events for eXp. He's from Milton Keys, so on the way up, had dinner with him, and literally with 2 prompts after dinner, that was the article that popped out.
So go read it. It's really good. I read it on the way here. So first of all, go talk to ChatGPT to see if a prompt a consumer would type in, your name pops up. And then if it doesn't, ask it what you need to be doing for your name to come up. So Brandon Schneider back in Houston, the prompt was, who's the most investor-friendly agent in Houston? His name pops up. The consumer clicks the email address. It populates a very empathetic 3-paragraph email. It goes into his Gmail and grabs his calendar and said, Brandon's available these 4 times next week. He's also a nerd like the 2 of us, and he told me that he was playing Dungeons & Dragons with his son. Opens his phone, says, that's really good, hit send. So it drafted the email, hit sends, in under 3 minutes. The consumer was shocked that on a Saturday, someone responded that quickly with availability. The consumer sent a very nice email thanking him for his speed and picked Tuesday. This happened on a Saturday. On Tuesday, they had a 30-minute Google Meet conversation. It's an investor, so it was super clear, non-emotional. This is what I want. Within 14 days of that Tuesday's Google Meet call, they were under contract for a $300,000 rental property in Houston, Texas. And when we say AI is going to eat the world or put you out of business, I don't mean an AI autonomous bot is going to put you out of business. I mean Brandon Schneider in London or Liverpool or Windsor or Birmingham is going to compete with you because they can move to the consumer faster than you will. Does that make sense? And that was fully AI, right? The search happened in GPT, and he responded with an AI copilot.
And you get that as part of being at eXp, so that same AI. So how many of you would like to, that are serving a market where you would like to expand your web presence, add more content, build more neighborhood pages, do those types of things? Okay, lots of hands. Okay, my favorite platform right now is another company out of Europe. How many of you have played with Lovable? Anybody? Of course, the front row is raising their hand. So if you go to lovable.dev and say, use this prompt, build me a neighborhood website for, name your community, whatever that community is, and have it appeal to buyers and sellers of real estate in this market. And Lovable will build you from one prompt a very usable website from one prompt that you can immediately push publish on and actually have it be live. You can get a domain name, you can attach it to it so you can actually be branded on your own website. But with basically in 10 to 15 minutes, you can have a website that would have normally cost you, and I kid you not, $5,000 to $10,000 from a web developer, or pounds from a web developer. You can get that same website created in 10 minutes with a prompt that will be really, really good. And we have launched so many things in the last 2 months at eXp that, and I don't want to, I'm not bragging about this at all because the AI is changing the world, but like today we ended up letting go of 56 people in technology because with AI, we no longer need a bunch of we'll say the project management type people to do work anymore because we can actually prompt AI to actually build software that is super usable. So it's affecting everybody. You should be able to run a leaner team in your own teams, but the ability to sort of build really cool stuff from prompts for very inexpensive is just crazy.
And I'll add to that, because in my former life, I founded and scaled a tech company. I raised almost $50 million, and the bane of my existence was dealing with engineers, because I'm non-technical. I can't write a single line of code. And the process was, I would be sat in a conference room with a product manager, and I'd whiteboard it, and then they'd give it to a designer who would then
Figma it or something.
Figma, one of them, and wireframe it. And then maybe would a front-end or back-end engineer touch it like 3-4 months later. And I normally wouldn't see an MVP or a prototype for 6 months. And it was never right because the translation wasn't there. When we had our aha moment, I'll call it that, so we stop using the S word, he actually challenged me. He said, go rebuild the tech that you once delivered by yourself over the weekend, right? And the aha moment that we've had that we keep unlocking all over the enterprise is our frontline contributors, our people processing the transaction, launching countries, actually know more about the workflow than an engineer could, right? So again, as uncomfortable as it may feel, I encourage you to go play with apps like Lovable. For single property websites for almost low lift, you can 100% do it by yourself. But even if you were going to build something more complicated, and then you still need an engineer, which I believe we will for like the last mile, the reality is you're going to be able to get 80% of it how you want it to look and feel. Which again, if you've never built software, that's the hardest part. And so it's super exciting to see how that's all going to change. And we only have a couple minutes, and I'll wrap up with a thought and then hand it over to Glenn to wrap up with his thought. This is the second time coming here for me, and I think, by the way, I'm completely obsessed with numbers. I track all of our production all over the world. You guys have the highest per agent productivity on the whole planet. You are the most productive country eXp operates in. And when I spent time with you guys last summer, I got so excited when I understood that you have an entire industry who is full-time employment, who all know how to sell property. And all you have to do is convince them to make more money with us than to do it on salary. Versus in the United States and in other countries, I have to convince them to quit a job and teach them how to do something they don't know how to do. So it's a much bigger ask. For you guys, it's more of convincing them to bet on themselves for that 4 to 6 month period is what I keep hearing from you guys before that you can actually replace your income and then exponentially replace it. But what Adam shared, I brag about you guys all over the world, and I do see international as the future of our company. So I'm very excited and humbled to be here with you guys. Thank you so much.
And 15 and a half, almost 16 years ago, we started eXp really fundamentally with this idea that if you could build a model that actually built it on behalf of the agent, not the broker owner, that it'd be a much more exciting place to work. And I think what I think I've seen and over the years, especially here in the UK, estate agents that went from employed to self-employed and made that journey, it's way more exciting here. So thank you, everyone, for having us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of eXp. And
thank you.
Thank you.
Hang on, whoa. Sorry, before you go, sorry, just a couple more questions from me. Thank you so much, that was so interesting. I think everybody's got so much information, keen to get out there and building new websites. I spoke last year and also mentioned today about the important traits, having courage, consistency and discipline in what you do. So we've heard a lot of information about the technology you use and how you've gone about doing your job, but I really kind of want to know about you. What would you say are the most important traits that have helped you get eXp to where it is today?
It's being clear on the mission, I think, was key. So I call them the power of business constraints. There were a couple things. One, in 2009, we couldn't afford physical offices. So out of necessity, we said, hey, how do we build it without bricks and mortar? But then two, recognize what the trends are. Recognizing that in 10, 15, 20 years from 2009, that the office wouldn't be needed because of how connected things were. And part of it was knowing that that was the future and also being willing to sort of die on that sword. In fact, my motivational speech, some of you have heard me talk about this before, to the team was, this is going to work or it's not going to work. And if it doesn't work, we're all looking for work. And because it really was a burn the boats kind of moment for us. And so for burning the boats is a super powerful metaphor for actually getting things done, because nobody wants to fail, but you do have to sometimes burn the boats, get rid of the bridges, no way back, in order to basically create a situation where you have to move forward.
Like a full commitment, 100% commitment.
Right.
Just like anything, you want to achieve the highest level, you have to believe and do it. And that's the difference between people who don't and people that do, is having the confidence to go, okay, I'm going to absolutely 100% give everything without looking back. Terrifying, but brilliant.
And there is a decision moment. I mean, if you don't fully commit, chances are you will fail. Like it's not really, it's pretty binary. But if you commit, the likelihood that you're going to succeed is exponentially larger. And I actually do fundamentally believe that we live in a multiverse. I believe that quantum physics and everything else is suggesting that actually exists, which means fundamentally that every single person in this room can win at the highest level, and that there is no competition except the competition that you have in your own mind.
Love that, love that. Leo, what would you say? Yeah, so we definitely need to give that a little.
I would echo with a thought that I've had for a long time, which is we're never ready. I was not ready at 19 to sell somebody a house. I was not, during the financial crisis, I ended up in the White House listening to how the US market survived. I was not ready to be in that room. I was not ready to run a publicly traded company until he called. And I will always give the analogy of when you take that first kid home from the hospital, right? And you get home and you're like, who's going to keep this human alive? You just choose to be ready. And so whether it's going from employment to self-employment, or deciding you're going to build a team or you're going to build a big rev share group, you're the only one who can make that decision.
I love that. Also, great advice. So good. Right. Yes. Leo, it's your birthday today. So happy birthday. Happy birthday, Leo.
Happy birthday.
Woo, woo, woo.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's my actual birthday today.
Yeah. You're not going to get away with that. You're not going to get away with that. I'm told you were one of the most successful agents in the whole of the US before you started your corporate journey. So that means you've been at ground level, being an agent, growing your business, and now CEO of the largest independent real estate brokerage on the planet, which is definitely some journey. I wanted to ask you, what motivates you to continue pushing and to continue wanting to achieve? Because that's massive.
So the fun part about life, it is a choose your own adventure, right? So one of the things that I think why I enjoy this so much, and Glenn and I get along so well, is like I'm doing this out of pure sport. Right after I sold my last couple of companies, I was mostly spearfishing when he tracked me down, and I got really good at spearfishing. So if anyone of you wants to come to South Florida, I'll take you spearfishing. But there's got to be something that gets you excited. And so my BHAG, which again, it doesn't actually matter when or how, I want to become the largest brand on the planet. So first of all, just appreciate the fact that no single company on a single platform has ever gotten to the scale we're at today, 80-some thousand agents. When you look at Keller Williams, you look at RE/MAX, and you look at companies that have the mantle of largest brands, So I think KW and Remax both peaked in like the high 170s, 180s. So like Remax has 45,000 agents in Europe. Keller Williams, I think, currently has 149,000 in the US, and with their global operations, they're probably 170. So for me right now, the next target is 200,000 across the globe as a single platform. No one's ever done it. And when I get there, we'll find the next one together.
Yeah, you'll never stop, though. That's the thing. You'll never stop. Keep going for it. So thank you so much, Leo. Thank you, Glenn. Really appreciate it. What a wonderful presentation there. Thank you so much. So,
thank you.
Thank you.